Hello, today's tea is this one, Rose Garden tea, which Joel got me from Selfridges. They have like a whole Disney thing at the moment, and this is Alice in Wonderland's Rose Garden tea, and I'm pretty sure I've had it before. I think someone bought this for me from Walt Disney World and gave it to me at stage door, and I remember really loving it. So I've got one of them with a little bit of honey in it.
I put some honey in it. You need honey in it.
This is a lesson that I definitely learned in my late 20s, but was recently summed up in the most perfect sentence by my wonderful friend Sam Holmes. And he always says, meet people where they are, love them wherever they're at. Basically this idea that we all grow and learn and change at different rates, at different speeds, at different points in our lives, and not everyone is going to have had the same experiences that you have, and so maybe haven't learned the same lessons that you have. And it's very easy to spend a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to change someone or trying to teach someone some kind of, you know, life lesson that is very, very hard to teach when you haven't had the experiences that often gain someone that knowledge and that wisdom. It's also quite an apt term for when you're, you know, maybe confronted with someone who's behaving in a way that you don't necessarily gel with or deem sort of appropriate, or it just seems like a very strange way to react to something because you wouldn't react that way, or maybe you would have reacted that way a long time ago, but that's not not something that you would do now. If you adopt this idea of just love them for where they are, because maybe they haven't had that experience that earned you that knowledge of how not to react that way or how to react a different way, and maybe they're reacting that way because they've been triggered by something that has happened to them in their experience and their lives that you don't understand. And instead of being judgmental and thinking, well, you could have just avoided that, or why didn't you behave this way, or next time you should do this, blah 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 blah, just love them where they are. Obviously this is for, you know, relatively surface level relationships. It's much harder when you're, you know, in a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship with someone, or this someone is, you know, part of your family or whatever. I would say this is quite general advice and maybe more for sort of like colleagues or working relationships where you're not like really involved with this person. I don't know, maybe it can be adopted for those types of relationships. But I just think it's a very forgiving mindset to have. And I also think it saves you a lot of time and energy when, you know, I've always been a fixer. And, you know, if I'm confronted with someone who is, you know, behaving in a way that is different to how I would behave, or maybe I don't quite understand it, my first thing is to go, well, here's your solution. Here's how I can change you in the next 60 seconds. And life doesn't work that way. People don't work that way. Brains don't work that way. So sometimes the easiest thing to do is just go, I'm gonna love you for where you are right now. And what do you need in this moment? How can I help you in this moment experiencing whatever you are experiencing? Regardless of how I would have handled the situation, regardless of how I would have reacted, that's not important right now. I'm just gonna love you for where you are, and I'm gonna meet you where you are right now. And how can I help? And if we're going a little bit deeper, I feel like this would have helped me through relationships, romantic relationships, because I feel like this idea of just going, I'm gonna meet you where you are, instead of trying to change someone and trying to make them adapt to, you know, the perfect person that I envision, and, you know, behave in certain ways that would make my relationship easier or, you know, more romantic or whatever. Maybe this could have helped me understand that trying to change, if you've got to try and change someone to fit the things that you want for a relationship, maybe that's just not the person that you should be with. But then it also kind of fosters this empathy, where you can go, you know, I understand that the journey you are on does not align with the journey that I am on, but that doesn't mean that my journey's, you know, more valid than yours. It just means we are on two very different paths. I can love someone for where they are, but I don't have to be dragged onto their path, and I don't have to drag them off their path and drag them onto mine. I can just love you for where you're at, help when I can, but say thank you and goodbye, which again is much harder when it's a romantic relationship or it's family. But I feel like it's a good lesson to learn earlier on, so that you can always have that in the back of your mind when you start to get a bit judgmental and you go, well, why are they behaving that way, or why would they react that way? Maybe it's because we're all different and we've all had different experiences, and the knowledge that I have gained through my experience someone else might not have. So I just need to meet you where you are and love you where you are, help when I can, and step back when I need to. And I don't know, there's something about it that feels a little bit cold and a bit sort of distant about it, but I think that's also because I've always been a be in your pockets all the time, and I want you in my pockets all the time, and I want to be like super involved in everything, and I want to help all the time, and I, you know, want you to be, you know, the best version that you can be, and if only you'd listen to my advice. And that's stupid, because who made me the queen of the world, you know what I mean? Who gave me infinite power and wisdom? No one, because I don't have it. That's my little lesson of the day that I wished I had learned earlier on, that I hope my daughter learns earlier rather than later. See you soon.